Hey guys, welcome back. Frosty Gaming here to give you another Unity tutorial. Today I'm going to be talking about materials and shaders. I'm going to tell you what a material is, how to create it, how to attach them to objects, what the different types are, and what the different properties are that go along with them. First off, what's a material? A material is attached to a game object, and it plays an essential part in defining how your object is displayed. Materials include a reference to the shader, which is used to render mesh or particles, and these components can't be displayed without some kind of material. A shader, on the other hand, is used through materials, and it essentially combines shader code with parameters like textures. I'll be putting a link in the description that'll talk a little bit more about it, but I'm going to show you exactly what that means. Okay, so let's create a material. If we go to right click create material, it's right there, and you can name it whatever you want. We're going to name it blue. Alright, so we want this to be a blue material. If you go over here to the right, you can see that it's got some options, this material, and if we click on this white box, then we can change the color of it, and we can just make it blue. So now this is a blue material, and down here you can kind of see the preview of what the material is going to look like. Now it's just basic on a sphere. Okay, next step is to create an object that we're going to put this material on. So let's just make a generic cube and resize it, make it a little bigger, and all you have to do is click and drag this onto the object. You can also click and drag it onto the object in the hierarchy, or click and drag it over to the inspector. As you can see, we have this component now on the object called blue, and it's our main color. If we click on this box, we can then change the color, and if you saw it also changes the color of the material. And if we go to the material, we can go and change it, and it will change it in real time in our scene. So this is a really simple way to make a material, put it on an object. Now I'm going to explain the shaders a little bit. There's a bunch of different shaders, and I'm not going to go over every single one, but I can talk about the big ones and what they do. For objects that don't have anything really special going on with them, you're going to want to use a normal shader. There's also transparent shaders. These are used for transparent objects, so if there's something that you want to be kind of see-through, like a ghost or a window, then you'd use a transparent shader for that. Transparent cutout, which is for objects that have only fully opaque and fully transparent areas, like fences. Self-illuminated, which is for objects that have light-emitting parts. And reflective, which is for textured objects that reflect the environment, like mirrors or maybe even reflective glass. In addition to these, which are all put on game objects, there are other categories that are for specialized purposes, like FX, which is for lighting and water effects. There's also GUI, which is for graphical user interfaces. Nature, which is for trees and terrain. Particles, which is for particle systems, which I'll go over in a later tutorial. Render FX, which is for skybox shaders. I kind of went over this before. It's the background, what you see in the background when you play. So this blue is the skybox. And lastly, there's the toon shader, which gives you a cartoon style rendering. So if you wanted something to look cartoony in your scene, then you could use that. Okay, now I'm going to talk about the rest of the properties. So we have this none texture box and a select box. Well, we don't really have any textures in our scene yet, so I'm going to drag this in. This is like just a box texture, right? So we're going to go back here, and we're going to select this. And now, it's still blue, but it's got this texture on it. It's like a box. I'm going to go ahead and make that back to white. So now we've got this box, and we've added the texture to it, and it looks pretty much like a box. It actually worked out pretty well. There's some cool stuff we can do with tiling to make the box look a bit different. X and Y. And this is just how many times the texture repeats on that axis. And if we go to the offset, you can kind of see it shifts. And the offset goes from 0 to 1, so you would be using decimal values. The reason you would use it is if your material was off a little bit, it wasn't completely where you wanted it to be on your object, you would use an offset on the X or the Y axis. To recap what we learned, I told you what a material was, how to create one, attaching it to objects, what the different types of shaders were, what the properties were that go along with it down here, and what a texture does when you apply it to a material. Again, if you want to learn more about materials, I'm going to put a couple links in the description down below. You can check them out. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time.